whether or not I was good enough, whether or not my teammates would accept me as a footballer, and ultimately facing that moment of, will I get another contract? So these things would eat me up all the time, but the overriding emotion that would quieten that down was anger. Anger towards Charlton. And every time I felt that fear coming, I think of Charlton, I think of the manager that said I wasn't good enough, and that would get me through. But then I used to use that anger on the pitch, because I played in one of my early games for Barnet. I remember the striker, big striker, and before the game he shook my hand and said, "Linvoy, we've heard some good stuff about you." He said, really looking forward to playing against you. And I thought, oh, he's a nice guy, And then the game's kicking off, their kick-off, and I could see the way they set up, they were going to hit the ball over towards me from a big diagonal cross. So I could see this, and I could see that striker, looking at me. And I'm thinking, they're going to hit it over my head, so I'm going to get ready. So anyway, they do it, they take the centre, this forward is running, the ball's up in the air. So I'm looking at the ball, but I can see him, looking at the ball, and see him. And I go to head the ball, next thing you know, I'm on the floor. I don't know where the ball is, I don't remember hitting the deck. And all I remember opening my eyes, and the striker looking down at me and said, "Welcome to League 2, Linvoy, welcome to League 2. So from that moment, I thought, I'm going to have to look after myself. So I became quite aggressive on the pitch. And again, I suppose I became somebody I wasn't, but what I noticed is that the crowd liked it. It wasn't a big crowd, if we had 1,500, that was a full house, so if there's 2 people, they liked it. But they liked it, my teammates liked it, and that started to kill the sense that I wasn't good enough. But inside, it wasn't me. So after 3 years there, I played reasonably well, that someone wanted to buy me, and it was Reading, and I went to Reading, moved out of London, bought a house, had the car. But the biggest overriding thing for that was, even though I had all those nice things, I had a young daughter, the overriding thing was Charlton were in the same division as Reading.
Oh, come on.
So, it's like a build, it's like a movie,
The same manager?
Same manager.
Was it Alan Pardew?
No, Alan Kirmsley.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, Alan Kirmsley. So, it was like my whole life in football was building up to this moment, and I joke about it, but when you're living in that place of you want to prove people wrong, it was consuming me. And there were times I'd be brushing my teeth, thinking, when I see him, I'm going to tell him he's got it wrong, and then I think to myself, don't be aggressive, it's fine then, he'll see how good you are, he'll know, but I'm going to tell him. Anyway, the game comes around, and it's a beautiful day. Well, it probably wasn't, but I just thought it was, and we played them, and we beat them, and it's like we've won the FA Cup. I'm so happy. Lots of the Charlton team were my old teammates. Obviously the manager was Alan Kirmsley, and after the game I just thought, I'm just going to find him and I'm going to tell him, it's been 3 years, he's almost ruined my career, he's almost ruined my family's life. And as he walks up, he's trying to walk to the dressing room down the touchline, and I get in front of him and I put my hand out to shake his hand, and he reluctantly puts his hand out, we shake hands, and he's trying to pull his hand away, but I hold on. So I thought, I'm going to build this, and he tries to pull away, and I'm like, no, I'm going to build this. And then he pulls his hand away and he said, Linvoy, well done, you've proved us wrong. And I went, oh, great. It's like, oh. But you know what he done? He took away my opportunity to really tell him what I thought. It just took all the power away. And I walked off and I thought, oh, now what? And I went home that evening, reflecting on the game and just thinking, well, that moment today was supposed to bring me some happiness and peace and joy. Nothing. I still felt really empty. And I think from that point on, it was a case of, right, try and get money, try and make money, try and make more money, try and get another contract. I now know in my head that my career in football is real. I am a footballer, because that's when people see me, that's how they identify me. And I thought, right now, the footballer image is a lovely car, lovely house, you know, perfect family, you know, other things going on that we can't talk about on stage, but that's the image, and I thought, that's it. If I chase that, I'll be happy. And but after, you know, 18 months of trying to do that, there was no happiness. There was still, you know, different things going on that really got me asking the question, there must be more to life than this.
They do say money doesn't bring happiness. I'd like to try it. Do you ever think that? No, I'm quite happy. I can do some good things with it. But you did have everything, as you said.
Yeah.
Career, kudos, celebrity, the cars, house, family. You were searching. Yes. Search ended up you becoming a Christian. Can you explain what happened?
Yeah, so part of me asking the question, there must be more to life than this, was I'd been brought up in church, and to be honest, church didn't represent anything for me. It had no relevance in terms of my football career or understanding. I just thought it was about being a good person, going to church on Sunday, listening to a guy speak from the front, he's telling some stories from a book, and actually, you know, I don't need it. But the last couple of years at Reading, my wife Trish became quite ill with depression. Obviously, there's a lot more understanding of depression and mental health issues today, but back then, you couldn't quite put your finger on what was going on or why. And I suppose, because I've been brought up in quite a, you know, humble upbringings, to have what the world would say would make you happy, I couldn't understand what was going on. And I'd left. My contract was running out at Reading. I felt really disillusioned by what football was offering, and the thought process of actually football hasn't brought me the happiness I expected. I'd been ripped off by a couple of agents, lost a lot of money, made promises by football clubs that never came through. And I thought, you know what, I'm done. My wife's not well. I can't retire and never work again. Had no savings. I was just done, you know, it's like I'd come to the end of myself. So I left Reading. I got a phone call from Tony Pulis, who was the Portsmouth manager. He said, come and play for me. So I went there, signed a 2-year deal. And in all honesty, we thought we left all our problems behind in Reading and starting a new life in Portsmouth. But within, again, a short space of time, my wife's illness came back, and we had a big decision to make. What are we going to do to get through this? And one of the things we thought we'd do is get a horse. And I know, as you do, you know. But the reason for that was Tricia looked after horses before we left Reading, and she said that people treated her normally. They didn't treat her as a footballer's wife. And she had her own identity. She said, and it really helped her. So I said, okay, let's get a horse. But when she told me that, I thought, you know what, we've never had a pet. So why can't we go for a rabbit or a cat? Oh, no, get a hamster. So anyway, we get this horse and we find out, after a few months that it's not the best horse. We called it a wonky donkey because it was ill. It was always ill. And but with the people at the stables, they found out that I played football, so they used the horse's illness to draw more money down from Trish. So we moved to different stables, and these guys at the stables were Christians, and they knew that Trish wasn't well, and they said, and Trish came home one day and she said, "Look, we've been speaking to these guys and they seem like nice people," and I said, "That's because she's making friends." And then she said, "They're Christians," and I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, Lynn, they're Christians and they're nice." I said, "Trish, stay away." And she's like, "No, but they're nice." I said, "They start off like that, then it'll all change. They want your money, they want your time, you have to be in church every day." And I said, "Look, if they invite you to church, say no, but be polite, just say no." Anyway, 2 weeks later, we're in church, so that didn't happen. But I'll cut to the bit that what impacted me in that church service. We walk into a room, it's a modern building, and I'm thinking to myself, where is the normal old church, cold, and where's the pews? nothing. Modern building, there's a band up the front. I'm thinking they're tricking us. You know, next week they'll be in a cold building and it'll be boring. Anyway, the music plays. And I had 3 rules that morning. Do not shake anyone's hand. Do not shake anyone's hand and smile. Do not get eye contact with anyone. Within 30 seconds I've broken all the rules. You know, so. But this guy got up to speak. He had shorts and a t-shirt on. And I'm thinking, where's the vicar? You know, I'm looking for a collar, I'm looking for a gown, and when you're a kid, I remember the vicar walking in when he used to glide because you couldn't see his feet. You know, like darkness, yeah. And this guy's got shorts and t-shirt on. And I think to myself, hold on a minute, this must be like a cult. But then he starts to talk about his life, having it all and being empty. And I think to myself, he's talking about me. How does he know? I've never told anybody how I felt or what I'm feeling. In fact, we're only in that church because my wife wants to be there. And then he said that his life really changed when he met Jesus. Oh, good one. You know, we're in church, he's mentioned Jesus, I'm out of here. But he said Jesus was alive. And I thought, what's he on about? We leave that service, we're in the car, and inside I thought, these guys are either mad or they've got something. You know what, and I'm going to prove them wrong, they're mad, you know. And anyway, we went back to the church for another 6 weeks, and in that time, my teammate, a guy called Darren Moore, found out he's a Christian, 6'4", defender. He would tackle someone so hard, I'd be thinking he can't be a Christian, you know, because the Christians don't do that. But what was great, I was able to ask him questions. You know, we'd travel away to games, and we'd be in a hotel in the night before, we'd share a room. And he pulled out this book, and I knew he was a proper Christian because I thought footballers don't read. You know, if we do, we like pictures. We like lots of pictures. And I thought this Bible hasn't got pictures in. And I used to ask him questions. He used to go to the Bible for answers, and I think, oh, he's annoying me, but I wouldn't tell him that because he's bigger than me. And then he'd stop, and I think, you know, I'm going to ask the guys in church the same questions. And I'd ask the same questions, they had the same answers. I'm thinking, you know what, Darren must be phoning them up, saying, look, Linvoy, you know, ask this question, this is what you've got to tell him. But the reality of it was, where I was at that point, I didn't trust anybody. So when he was telling me some stuff, and the guys in church were telling me things, it got to a point where actually this is making sense, you know. And I think I was asking what my purpose to live was for, because I thought the fulfillment and joy and happiness was in the world of sport, in football, but it didn't give me that. And when I started to hear the answers that these guys were giving me, it really challenged me. And I got to one night, it was 6 weeks, nearly 6 weeks to the day that we'd been to church, and we'd invited these Christians round to our house who invited us to church. We invited them round, and I honestly thought in my head, I thought, I'm a guerrilla Christian, you know, tonight's the night these Christians are going down because what they're talking about is rubbish. So they come, we feed them up, give them a glass of wine, you know, get them all relaxed, and I'm in. You know, I'm asking them the toughest questions, and they're batting them back, you know, with the Bible. And I'm thinking, God, these guys, they know their stuff. And then they got me, because they said, Liv, what do you think of heaven? And I said, ooh. And that got me on the back foot, because I had a couple of friends that had passed away tragically in a car crash and a stabbing. And I used to lay in bed, you know, nights before a game, whoever we were going to play, and I used to think about these guys, because this was real, but I'd never shared this with anyone. And I answered the guys about what I thought heaven was and everything like that. And they just showed me the Bible again. They said, Lynn, do you really believe there's a God that loves you? I said, well, I think I do, but I don't know. And they said, look, and I said, well, tell me what it meant for you. And they walked me through what being a Christian was and the life. But the point that got me was when they spoke about Adam and Eve's disobedience to God and what that done to mankind. I'd heard it, but for the first time, it made sense. But the thing that I didn't understand was that God, you know, is a just God, but He's got to judge us. And I said, but that's not fair. You know, I didn't eat no fruit at the beginning. But they said, but that's a cause of separation with God. And but they said, you know how much God loves you? He sent his son Jesus to die on the cross for you, to pay the price for that. I was like, wow, this is deep. But they kept on backing it up with verses from the Bible. But they said, but you know what? Jesus paid that price for you because he rose again on the third day to prove that death would never separate you from God again. And they said, what do you think then? And it came to me as like, I've heard about Jesus, I've now met him through the Bible, can I trust what he's done? And I said, you know what, I think I need to put my trust in Jesus. Because I think I believe that, but I'm not too sure. And they said, Lynn, all you've got to do is say a little prayer, accepting what Jesus done for you on the cross, and what he done 3 days later, you can have this relationship with God. And I thought, right, okay, I'll say this prayer. And I remember turning to Trish and I said, Trish, why don't we say the prayer together? And she said, Lynn, I've already said it. I'm like, what? And, I say the prayer. She told me a little bit about why she prayed and what happened for her. And she was instantly healed from her depression after she prayed that prayer. And it was just in Butlins, in Bognor Regis, good place there. And but it wasn't a religious thing. It wasn't a heavy, awkward thing. It was just a little prayer. And I thought, right, if she's in, I'm in. So I say this little prayer, recognizing that, I was nowhere near God, and I wanted to follow Jesus and live the life that I'm called to live. And at the end of the prayer, I opened my eyes, because I remember praying as a kid, you had to close your eyes and put your hands together. And I opened up one eye, had a little look, thinking, where's God? I'm waiting for the house roof to lift off. And nothing apart from my mate trying to hug me. And I went, I don't do them hugs, And that was it. That was the point where I started to follow Jesus. Did something happen to me dramatically at that point? No. Did the world all of a sudden make sense? No. But something inside had changed. And it wasn't until a few weeks after that I'm introduced to my friend who's here today, Michael O'Brien, who's part of the chaplaincy team at Portsmouth. And there was a moment where I had an injury, a knee injury, and I had a sense that I didn't know if this was real, and I wanted some real evidence. And Mickey and his prayer partner and Darren Moore prayed for me in the back room of an office. And my knees healed instantly. I needed an operation, but there was no pain, nothing, and I thought they hypnotised me. And then they prayed for me again, and all I can tell you for the next 45 minutes, from head to toe, total peace. Total peace. And I chased this peace. And that's when the significant moment of, you know what, Lynn, this is real. And I said quietly to myself, Lord, I know you're real. Whatever you want me to do, I will do. I probably shouldn't have been as wide as that, because there's been a lot of things I've done and lots of places I've been, but there was a reality that Jesus Christ was alive, is alive, and he was real to me. And from that moment I just said, right, I'm going to follow you.
Amazing. No regrets.
No regrets.
And our famous fellas? Brilliant. Harry Redknapp took over at Pompey.
He did, yes.
Now, I wasn't impressed with your Trevor Francis impression. Let's see your Harry Redknapp.
Has this been recorded? No, we're all right.
Come on, man. Come on, lads. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
I was going to say something else, but I didn't.
I'm the king of the jungle. Very impressive. 3 people clapped.
Yes.
What was it like playing for Harry?
Harry was, he was a great motivator in terms of he knew the right things to say at the right times. He'd signed players who, ability-wise were very good. He didn't coach them because he said, if you're at an age now, you're going to be playing professional football for, more than 5-6 years, you know what to do on the pitch. He was good tactically, he had some good tactics, but you know, if you crossed him, that's the worst thing you could do. He would rip you apart, and in public. And I've seen many journalists in press conferences crumble because they've written a story about him, and he gets them, and he doesn't stop, and he doesn't stop. But you know, for the first 4 years of my time playing under him, you know, we did start off on the best foot. He said I could leave the club, but I had to prove that I was worthy to be in his team, and worthy to move the club to the Premier League. And because I was in a different place as a Christian, I started to understand that God loved me, whatever the result was. Because I've been judged so many times in the past, for over many years, for performance, I realised I didn't have to perform for God, he loved me. And that brought a peace to me. So when I walked on the pitch, I say, Lord, this is for you. And it allowed me to play with a freedom and a joy. So even when Harry wrote me off, even though it took me back to when I was 20 years old, and you know, the feeling that gave me at that time, the Bible verse that Mick gave me was, you know, whatever you do in word or deed, do it for God. I didn't understand what he's talking about. You know, like, why can this Bible verse mean anything on the football pitch? And he said, Lynn, play for God. You know, play for the one that's giving you the gift, and acknowledge Jesus as in that. So I get into the team. Harry's not sure whether he's going to play me or not. I stay in the team. We get promoted to the Premier League. I win so many different awards. And Harry would always say to the journalist, Linvoy has been, you know, amazing for us, but I'm not too sure if he's ready for the Premier League. And the journalist would say, Lynn, your form's been brilliant, what's Harry done for you? And I'd say, no guys, it's I play for God. And they start to write, Linvoy says Harry Redknapp's God. I'm like, no, I didn't say that. I really did. I didn't say that. I said I'm a born again Christian, and I play my football for God because of what Jesus has done for me. So the second season we're in the Premier League. I don't play until Christmas. I'm really frustrated, like angry. And again, with Mick and the other chaplain, being able to get around and say, Lynn, it's fine, you know, just play for God. I'm like, I don't want to play for God now, I'm not in the team. I thought he was a good God. And, you know, by Christmas I'm in the team, and I stay in the team, and then I end up spending 10 years at Portsmouth, and not just seeing results, good results on the pitch, but also seeing five of my teammates come to know Jesus. And, you know, in the team itself we had 10 Christian players, you know. And you asked me about Harry, what he was like to play for. He allowed us to have prayer meetings before games because he knew that how much it meant to us. He probably thought it was a bit of a lucky charm as well, probably. But he knew what it meant to us. And he does, there's a little sketch he does for a betting company. He's got all these little stories, and one of the stories he tells is that we're playing MenUnited at Frome Park, and he goes into the dressing room, into the referee's room to exchange team sheets. So Sir Alex Fergus is in there, and the referee, and you know, the referee gives his spiel about playing well and, you know, controlling your players. And he comes out, so he's got the MenUnited team list in his hand. He comes out, comes back into the dressing room, and there's only 3 players in the dressing room. So he says to Joe Jordan, Joe, where are all the players? So Joe says, oh, they're in there praying. And Harry looks at the team sheet, he says, whoa, looking at this team, I think we need to get in there, Joe. You know? But he was good, and like I say, we never fell out, you know, we never fell out, but I always felt I had to prove myself. And then in the end, he just used to say to me, Linvoy, you know what, I think you're brilliant. And he saw the work I was doing in the community as a reflection of I suppose just appreciating what I had and the joy that I had, not just from football, but from helping others as well.
And it was really quite amazing how open the club was to Christian things. Like, I used to come down to the Christmas carol concert.
Yes, yeah.
But there'd be a couple of thousand fans in the stands, Salvation Army band, different stuff.
That's right.
It's always been phenomenal opportunities.
Yeah. It was like, one of the questions I asked, now I'm a Christian, do I have to become a vicar? because that's what I thought all Christians do, you know. And again, chaplain said, no, you're fine, you can still play your football, but just probably don't tackle people as hard as you used to, and things like that. And I got sent off twice in my career, both times I was a Christian. So that didn't go down well. But because we weren't weird in our Christianity, we weren't, spooky, we didn't bash people around the head with the Bible. We spoke the truth in the dressing room, and because it started to become public to the fans, there was an opportunity for us to open this understanding of who Jesus was and is to the fans. So we used the carol nights, we used the main stand to host alpha courses. So yeah, that's right, because you came along to them as well. So, because people saw evidence on the pitch in performance, but also evidence off the pitch, because I wasn't playing all the time, but I was able to take the highs and the lows in a place that said, God, even though I don't understand what's going on today, I know you love me. Even though I don't know why, a close friend of mine has died through cancer, I do know that you love me. And even though I don't fully understand what this life is about, I know you love me. And that got me through so many difficult moments, and still does. So the club were really open to it, and the city became open to Christianity because of a charity I started called Faith in Football. And it was just an easy way to be able to share who Christ was through action, through love, and just through getting alongside people and supporting them.
Amazing, mate. It's an amazing story. Guys, we've got about 10 minutes left. I've got some more questions, but you may want to ask Linvoy something. I don't know if we've had any texts through. Have we had some texts?
5.
5? I can't read them from there, so. I've got good eyes, but this is crazy. Have we got any questions down here? If you want to ask a question, just raise your hand and shout it out. Right, we've got a couple of questions over here. This gentleman.
One question, can you remember that original prayer you actually prayed?